In this video, I'll share with you my outlook on EURUSD. When you've watched this analysis video, head over to the link in the description and join my free trading course. There's 13 videos on 10 different topics. That's going to get you set up with a positive start in the markets. Hello and welcome back to the channel. I hope you had a great weekend and I hope last week was very profitable for you. Personally, I stayed out of the markets for the most part due to the Russia and Ukraine tensions causing a lot of whipsaw action in the markets. It was a little bit unsettling and rather difficult to actually catch major movements, or at least high probability movements, which, as you know, is what I like to trade. If you had a successful week, as I know many people did, congratulations. If you decided to sit on the sidelines and you didn't have such a wonderful week, don't worry about it. That is a good way to actually manage heavy fundamental weeks. Sometimes the best trade is no trade at all. So what we're going to do today is go through EURUSD. I'll quickly recap on what I showed you last week, and then I'll show you what it is that I'm kind of looking for moving into this week as well. If you watched last week's analysis, you would know that we were looking for a price movement from around this point down to this point. Then we were either going to look for a bounce to buy or a breakthrough to sell. Okay, so what we've now seen is that final bit of action filled through into the demand zone, and from there we actually did start to get a push to the upside. Now there was an opportunity to buy here. We had, obviously, if we go to the hourly time frame, we can see we had a nice little break to the upside here. Buying opportunity came in there, could have brought that towards the supply zone and such. But what we are actually seeing now is a little bit of a rollover once again. So I do have a little bit of a change of heart and a change of sentiment on this pair, and we'll be looking for something slightly different on EURUSD. So let's see if this is going to come through. Now, what I'm looking at here is, obviously, we have this large drive down. We reacted from demand, and then we started to push back to the upside. But what we actually did was come in and fill this supply zone. Now, I did mention this could be a good zone for shorts if it was retested, but obviously the low zone was retested first. So whether or not you'd have actually shorted there following my advice based on the fact that we already retested demand is, questionable, and I don't expect you to have pulled that one off. But what we can actually gather from this picture is we did have a 1-2 taps into supply and then a dramatic sell-off with a large impulsive candle, which, if we look at the previous structure points, has broken through this structure point and has also broken through the next higher low in that trend as well. So we've got multiple breaks of structure here with this large impulse. After that, we failed to make a higher high. We actually made a lower high, and then we sold off once again, breaking through this next structure point into a new lower low. So right now we can tell that the intermediary trend from this point onwards is actually bearish. Okay, this morning we've had a large impulse through the night. That was Sunday night UK time. Then a wick through early into the London session here, which has taken out liquidity above these highs and actually brought price back into the boundaries up here. But for me, the size of this impulse kind of tells me this looks like a sweep of liquidity more so than a actual higher high being formed in the trend. So I'm actually still favoring this little downtrend that we've got going on right now and the potential to actually see EURUSD come a little bit lower. So what I'm going to be doing for the start of the week here is actually looking how price can react on a potential pullback and sell move like this. Now, if we then break down to the lower time frames here, have a look at the 15, for example, what we can begin to do is consider the session timing and ranges. Now we can see the Asia session started off here and the primary volume area of the Asia session closed here. So what this tells us is that we've had a sweep above and then an impulse back into the range. Now this impulse has broken a structure point just here as well, being a higher low in this uptrending leg of movement. And this impulse, and obviously this nice big bearish candle here, shows there's a lot of selling pressure coming in, which is obviously what gives us that confirmation. This could very well be a liquidity sweep of equal highs. And then we had that kind of dramatic sell-off following through with that large bearish impulsive move. So what am I looking for now then? Well, if we look at this current leg of upside movement, we can see towards the bottom, we've kind of got a very equal area of lows there. So we could potentially come sweep those out. But all I'm really interested in considering today is the Asia range, right? We have the Asia highs now been swept. We can anticipate that it's quite likely that the low of the Asia range will also be swept to take out any orders and liquidity sitting beneath there. There's also a heavy imbalance which leads towards this demand zone that I've just marked on the chart. So I'd be very interested in seeing if the market can actually make its run down, as I hope it will, and as I'll look to profit from. We may actually get a fill of this imbalance as well to bring us into that demand zone. Now from there, will we bounce? Will we break through? I do not know. I mean, my gut is telling me that obviously we may continue to sell off and move through lower lows, shifting to the hourly. that we could potentially move through this area and continue moving lower. But as I say, that is a gut feeling. That is not, a set in stone analyzed market thesis, right? That is just essentially what I feel like may happen. So I'm not going to trade based on that until it does begin to happen. So what I'll be looking for Euro USD then is, well, we have this big zone here. You can refine this down, but I'll leave that to you. We could now look for a fill of this imbalance, so a small movement to the upside. And then if we trade into this zone, we could then look for that break of structure that we like to see. Then we could start looking to sell like this. And if that does come through, I'm very confident actually taking Euro USD down through this imbalance price area towards, first of all, and primarily the Asia low, and then potentially towards that demand zone as well, depending on how impulsive the market is on the way down. So that is my analysis on Euro USD right now. The higher time frame picture essentially remains the same as what I showed you last week, where we have obviously demand here. We've now got supply above. We are stuck within a range. And really, the high time frame picture is just going to depend on whether or not we break under this low or we break over this high. So until that happens, I'm going to be sticking with this low time frame work. But if this Euro USD trade does formulate and come through, this could be a setup for the whole week. So we will see. Does it want to pull back for us, or is it just going to tumble off a cliff without really giving that nice confirmation entry? If it gives us the entry, we can definitely look for that, and we can definitely go for that, and we may have a very nice movement here on Euro to kick off the week. So I hope you found this video valuable. I hope you have a very profitable week yourself. And let's see if this Euro USD position can bring us something nice.